Chapter 51 Space Slash. You are listening at novelfull.audio. When Lin Hai, Luffy, and others arrived at the coast, they saw a group of marines shooting at the melee with guns. When Lin Hai was about to take action, a huge gust of wind suddenly blew. Lin Hai looked speechlessly in the direction of Dorag. It was really unnecessary. After a strong wind, all the formations of the navy were disrupted, and the fort was also blown away by the wind. Who dares to believe this? Room. When Lin Hai was on the boat, he saw Nami rushing towards her, and Lin Hai naturally accepted it happily. Sanji's whole body burst into sour fire. Lin Hai, you bastard, let go of Miss Nami. Zoro said speechlessly, you bastards, please be serious, we are not out of danger yet. Only then did everyone realize that it was still raining heavily. I don't know how long it has passed, but the golden melee has sailed out of the waters of Rog Town, but the dark clouds in the sky haven't dispersed yet, and the heavy rain is still falling. At this time, Lin Hai, Luffy and Zoro were standing on the bow of the ship, looking at the turbulent sea level. The waves of sea water seemed to be able to submerge the melee. Lin Hai sighed, this heavy rain seems to have been going on for a long time, right? Zoro nodded and said, it's been a long time. Luffy asked, will we be drowned by this wave? The three of them didn't even notice that Nami's head behind them was filled with rage. Duong. X3. Nami said angrily, you three are very busy, right? Do you know that we are almost too busy? At the right time, Usopp said in horror, Nami, the ship is going to hit that mountain, think of a way. Nami ordered, Sanji, quickly take the helm and turn 60 degrees to the left. Sanji replied, no, Miss Nami, the current is too strong and there is no way to turn it. At this time, Lin Hai said, it's my turn to take action. Zoro asked doubtfully, what are you going to do? Lin Hai replied, cut it. Nami grabbed Lin Hai's head and pointed at the mountain, saying in disbelief, you can see clearly, how to chop it down. Lin Hai said speechlessly, let me go quickly, otherwise it will be too late. For a moment, Lin Hai took a good posture, stretched out a hand, and put his index and middle fingers in front of his chest at the same level as his chin. He saw a small space vortex appear on the left side of Lin Hai, and a sword slowly emerged from the space vortex. Out, the high wind produced in this way becomes a double-edged sword, no longer the single-edged sword in the normal state. Lin Hai held the hilt of the sword and shouted, slash in space, open a mountain with one sword. Chong. Suddenly, like a flash of lightning like white light, the sea area in front of the melee was split into two by Lin Hai's sword. I saw a huge crack appearing in front of me, accompanied by the sound of huge waves. Lin Hai was smarter this time, and he would not simply chop from bottom to top like last time, causing the split part in the middle to become a space area, so that the seawater on both sides would pour in and form a whirlpool. At this time, Lin Hai followed the melee to the right side of the mountain and cut it at an angle of 30 degrees. In this way, the big wave on the right will take the boat out, because Lin Hai suddenly discovered that if the mountain was split open, the bottom of the ship would still hit the rocks. Although he escaped the danger of hitting the mountain, the bottom of the ship would be ruined. Everyone was stunned by Lin Hai's operation. Lin Hai quickly reminded, Nami, hurry up and take command. Don't be stupid. You should know what to do now, right? Only then did Nami react and quickly ordered, Zoro, lower the sail first. Luffy, pay attention to the waves on the left, and report the situation immediately. Usopp, Sanji, turn right 60 degrees. Lin Hai, I'll leave the front to you. I saw the melee passing by the side of the mountain and almost hitting it. After a lot of hard work, I finally escaped the danger of hitting the mountain. At this time, the heavy rain stopped and the sky cleared up. Everyone lay on the deck and gasped for air. The power of nature is truly astonishing. After slowing down for a while, Lin Hai smiled in the direction of Nami and said, not bad Nami, your sailing skills are indeed the best in the world. You are really a genius among geniuses. Among navigators, even the navigators on the ship of One Piece are also not as good as you. Sauron said speechlessly, hey, are you exaggerating? Sanji's eyes were filled with love and he said, Miss Nami, I love you to death. Usopp sighed, Nami, I really belong to you. Ha ha ha. Luffy stood up, patted Nami on the shoulder and smiled, Nami, you guy, you guy. Nami knocked Luffy away with one punch, and then said with some trepidation, actually, I'm not as powerful as you say, but I accept your praise, hee hee hee. Hey, shameless. Zoro couldn't help but mutter. Nami looked at Sauron dangerously and asked curiously, Zoran, what did you say? Sauron quickly changed the subject and said, Lin Hai, didn't you say last time that you would faint if you used that move? Why won't you faint this time? Yes. Everyone looked at Lin Hai in confusion. Lin Hai spread his hands and explained, that's what geniuses are like. I think for a genius, you shouldn't ask anything about anything he does, because it can't be explained. Tell me, how can I explain this? This guy deserves a beating as always. I regret asking him. By the way, you don't know that Lin Hai's bounty has become 300 million, right? 300 million. Usopp stepped forward in surprise and asked, what is going on? Lin Hai, why has your bounty become so exaggerated? Nami exclaimed, 300 million. What on earth did Lin Hai do to deserve such a high reward? Lin Hai had no choice but to continue to lie in order to improve his performance and repeat the same trick he had used to deceive Smolka. Usopp exclaimed, Lin Hai, you are really amazing. Nami echoed, so, Lin Hai, you are also an orphan. Lin Hai glanced at Nami unnaturally, forget it, I have to pretend to cry. Ever since, Lin Hai took out a guitar from the system. Luffy's eyes lit up and he said, Lin Hai, you are a musician. Sanji took a puff of cigarette and spat secretly, if you're just pretending, he won't know how to play. Zoro said amusedly, are you jealous of others? Sanji said angrily, who is jealous of him? Believe it or not, I will kick you to death, you bastard. Sauron retorted, come here if you dare, believe it or not, I will chop you down first. Nami slapped her forehead and said speechlessly, I told you to, can you please stop fighting at every turn? Haichi. Sanji quickly flattered, I listen to you, Miss Nami. At this time, Lin Hai had already started playing, and everyone became quiet and looked at Lin Hai, wondering what kind of music would be played. Chapter 52 got slapped in the face again. You are listening at novelfull.audio. I saw Lin Hai holding the guitar and strumming it a few times, and he suddenly felt embarrassed. He, Lin Hai, didn't know how to play, and the coquettish coins were not enough to buy the skill of playing guitar. Even so, he, Lin Hai, didn't understand music scores. So, Lin Hai could only pretend to play a few times, and then sang, Autumn wind blows again, yesterday's dream. Flowers bloom and fall, looking back is empty. There are so many thoughts, when will you be poor? Many years later, but in a hurry, Lu Fei asked suspiciously, Lin Hai, what are you talking about? Usopp shook his head confusedly to show that he didn't understand. Sauron finished his attack and said, Lin Hai, you can't play the guitar, right? Is it bearable? What is unbearable? Is it that easy to pretend? He, Lin Hai, racked his brains and made up a few random words, just in time for the occasion, only to be ridiculed by these guys. Lin Hai said angrily, what do you illiterate people know? Sanji turned to look at Zoro and asked, is he angry? Pfft. Ha ha ha, Lin Hai, you are so interesting. What an idiot, he he he. Ever since, Lin Hai became autistic again. Forget it, he continued to squat in the corner and continued to draw circles. After the melee sailed for a while, Lin Hai remembered that he had received many rewards in Rog Town, and quickly called up the system panel. Coquettish system, host, Lin Hai, physique, level 7, top level 10, seeing and hearing domineering, level 2. Armed color domineering, level 2. Overlord color domineering. The second level has the ability to freely control and shock the target, skill 1.1. Establish a space field. Point 2. 1 knife flow. Point 3. Space / high-level use of space fruit, depending on physical strength. Skill 2, Dugu 9 swords, reference, system store, open. Coquettish coin, 250. After browsing the system panel, Lin Hai was originally in a good mood, but when he saw the coquettish coins, he suddenly felt depressed. Lin Hai, Feng Sa system, are you poisonous? Coquettish system, the host needs poison, which can be purchased from the system store. Does the host need to open the system store? Lin Hai said angrily, no need. Soon, Nami summoned everyone. She spread a nautical chart from Bucky on the table, pointed to a place on the map and said, everyone, the entrance to the Grand Line is a mountain. Sanji said confusedly, how is this possible? Usopp nodded and said, if the entrance is a mountain, how do you enter? Do you just crash through it? Luffy smiled and said, just rush over. Nami slapped her forehead and replied, that's what it says on the map. Zoro asked, Nami, this map was taken from Bucky, could it be a fake? Lin Hai looked at everyone with disdain and said mockingly, a bunch of illiterate people, didn't you notice the contour lines on the map? Contour line? What's that? Right? I don't know how serious it is. Oh, I know, just incredible contours. Luffy was kicked away by Nami. Nami asked, Lin Hai, do you know how to get there? Lin Hai raised his eyebrows at a few people, and then said, this map actually shows the three-dimensional space in a two-dimensional way. No, these data are the evidence. Fortunately, I was forced to learn it by my geography teacher in high school. Seeing that everyone present except Nami looked confused, Lin Hai had no choice but to say to Nami, Nami, look at the red earth continent across this continent. There should be special water flowing from the sea to the mountains. Take it up on the boat. After that, the boat flows along the sea current to the other side of the red earth continent. Nami clapped her hands and exclaimed, that's it, it's incredible nature. Thank you, Mua. Seeing this scene, Sanji knelt directly on the deck and kept patting the deck, why not me, why not me? Luffy looked at Lin Hai with bright eyes, Lin Hai, you can do this, you. Dang dang. Luffy was slapped away by Lin Hai. Lin Hai raised his eyebrows at Sauron proudly. Hey. Sauron glanced at one place and muttered, what's so great? I won't write about the plot of Thousand Year Dragon, it's too long and boring. Finally, the Golden Melee is almost arriving on the Red Earth continent. I saw that the sky that was cloudless just now suddenly became dense with clouds and heavy rain continued. Nami, who was about to ask everyone to cheer up and work, suddenly noticed that Lin Hai was about to draw his sword again, and couldn't help but stepped forward and asked, Lin Hai, what are you doing? Are there any enemies? Lin Hai turned his head and said slowly, I am very unhappy when I see so many dark clouds in the sky. I want to chop them down. Zoro smiled with interest. Can you do this? Luffy's eyes lit up and he said, really? Can you even split the dark clouds? Usopp exclaimed, don't be stupid, how can this be possible? At this time, Lin Hai had slowly pulled out the knife. Duong. X3. Nami couldn't bear it anymore and knocked down Lin Hai, Luffy and Zoro with one punch. Nami said angrily, ah, really, everyone is like this. Do you know what the situation is now? Have you seen that lighthouse? Put the sails up quickly, we are about to enter the Grand Line. Rumble. A white light flashed in the sky, and a bolt of thunder and lightning shocked Lin Hai who had just stood up. Who asked him to point his knife at the sky? Nami turned her head mechanically and asked weakly, Lin Hai. Are you okay? Lin Hai found it strange that his 7th level physique was struck by lightning and he was fine. If this were placed in Blue Star, I wouldn't dare think about it. Lin Hai quickly picked up the knife and unzipped his crotch. Fortunately, it's okay. Fortunately, it's okay. Everyone on the side suddenly understood Lin Hai's intention, and their faces turned dark. At this time, Luffy took out a bucket and placed it in the center of the deck, and then said, everyone, we are about to enter the Grand Line, let's tell our dreams. After saying that, Luffy put his heels on the bucket, I want to become the Pirate King. Lin Hai, I want to be the most coquettish Brother Lang. Brother Lang. Based on Lin Hai's past behavior, everyone understands. Zoro, the world's best swordsman. Sanji, all the blue. Nami, I want to draw a map of the world. Usopp hesitated for a while before saying, I want to become a brave sea warrior. Grand line, here we come. Under this torrential sky, no one could have imagined that the future world would become colorful because of these young people who were just starting out. Especially the man who wants to show off his temperament. Chapter 53, Sailing into the Belly of a Whale. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hurry up and pull down the sail. We are going to follow the current and enter the entrance. Nami ordered hurriedly. Usopp looked forward in horror and said, Isn't the entrance door too small? The ship will hit it, so you guys need to think of a way. Sanji said angrily, Lin Hai, Luffy and Zoro, you three bastards, the ship is about to hit, and you are still drinking tea. Lin Hai glanced at Sanji with disdain. Why are you making such a big fuss, you idiot? Room. Lin Hai quickly used his ability to change the ship's sailing position to avoid the risk of collision. I saw the door flying past everyone's peripheral vision. Sanji, who had recovered, grabbed Lin Hai's collar angrily and shouted, You bastard, you should have done it earlier, you scared me to death just now, do you know? Sauron praised, Lin Hai, your ability is really useful. Lin Hai smiled and said, That's right, the things that geniuses have are so cool. Luffy curled his lips and said, What's so great, my rubber can get bigger and smaller, and it can also be stretched. Lin Hai said angrily, Shut up, you stinky rubber. Do I have to be like you and become a pile of rubber to be cool? Luffy retorted, The rubber fruit is the coolest. Lin Hai, it's so cool, rubbish rubber. Luffy, what did you say? Duong. X2. Nami was really helpless. I said, Can you stop making trouble, the danger has not been lifted yet. Take it seriously. As quickly as it came, it went as quickly as it came. Luffy and Lin Hai quickly stood side by side and admired the waves that were quickly thrown behind them. Because the boat sails upward, everyone feels overweight, which is a feeling they have never experienced before. Wow, what a beautiful scenery. Do you feel any difference in your body? Ahem, I have motion sickness pills. If any of you wants one, it's worth 1,000,000 Baileys. Smelly Lin Hai, you think we are pigs? Just as everyone was experiencing the feeling of flying in the sky, the boat suddenly flew up by inertia. It turned out that it had reached the top of the boat channel. Ah! What happened? The ship seemed to fly. Yeah, what should I do, what should I do? I'm going to die, the ship is destroyed and everyone is dead. Luffy, Lin Hai, think of a way, if this goes on. Lin Hai said speechlessly, Everyone hold on to the handrails, this is a normal phenomenon, I will wipe. All. Wow, what an incredible current, so interesting. That's funny, hold on to the armrests, don't get thrown out. Because the ship fell at high altitude, everyone had not yet reacted. From the overweight state just now, to the weightless spin at this time, it was like a terrifying speed car in an amusement park. It's so exciting that it makes you call mom. After the boat stabilized and went downstream, Lin Hai could clearly feel that there was a big thing at the lower end of the boat channel. It should be the legendary Labu. No matter what he is, if he dares to block the ship, he will be cut off. When Sauron saw Lin Hai making a fighting posture in front of the ship, he couldn't help asking, Lin Hai, what are you doing? Are there any enemies? Yes. Lin Hai explained, there is a big whale down there. If we don't cut it, our ship will directly hit it. Luffy stopped him and said, Lin Hai, don't chop randomly, there will always be a way. Usopp echoed, Lin Hai, why do you like to chop things so much? Lin Hai said speechlessly, you don't know how big that whale is. Oh. Suddenly there was an extremely loud sound wave, which was the sound made by the whale. Was it about to hit the mountain? Everyone on board the melee covered their ears. Maybe that guy Luffy has the ability to listen to the voice of all things. From the cry of the whale, he can hear the loneliness, and other emotions, and he is determined not to let Lin Hai cut it. Lin Hai said helplessly, since you are all against it, then make preparations for how to stop the ship. Otherwise, it will hit you. Zoro asked doubtfully, can't you teleport the ship away? Lin Hai said speechlessly, have you ever learned the conservation of momentum? FTMV, if I stop the boat instantly, the momentum the boat receives instantly will almost break it apart. Luffy hit his right hand with his left hand. Oh, it turns out to be incredible conservation of momentum. Nami punched Luffy directly and said anxiously, you guys hurry up and think of a way, we're about to hit you. Lin Hai said, don't be nervous, everyone. After entering the whale's belly, if you can't get out, I will make a hole in its belly. After saying that, Lin Hai hugged Nami's waist and said with a smile, don't worry Nami, even if the whale wants to eat, they will eat them first. If the whale is full, then. Nami said in horror, how long has it been and you are still in the mood to joke? Seeing Nami being hugged by Lin Hai, Sanji actually forgot his fear and said with fire all over his body, Lin Hai, let go of Nami. The whale suddenly opened its mouth, and then the boat was swallowed by the whale. In the whale's belly. Oh, is this the belly of the whale? How interesting. Hey, what's going on with the blue sky and seagulls up here? It should be painted on it. Nami said anxiously, I tell you, is this the time to care about this? Quickly think of a way to get out. Lin Hai pointed to the small island on one side and said, there should be people living there. Please feel at ease. The most important thing now is to have a barbecue. Apparently, Lin Hai took out the fish he had brought before from the space, and then used his own sword to grill them leisurely. As soon as Luffy saw the food, he forgot all about it and muttered, Lin Hai's roast is not as delicious as Sanji's. Sanji, barbecue, barbecue. Nami slapped her forehead, I said you. Sanji consoled her, Miss Nami, since I don't know what to do at the moment, why not come and have something to eat first? Zoro sat next to Lin Hai with great interest and said with a smile, Lin Hai, have a bottle of beer. Luffy echoed, Lin Hai's beer is the best, it's cold and exciting. Nami also said, give me a bottle too. Lin Hai joked, why, don't you continue to shout for help? Nami directly pinched Lin Hai's ears, you guy. Sanji knelt on the ground again and patted the board of the boat, Lin Hai, you guy, I envy you so much. The fire had just started, and after roasting for a while, I saw the door of the house on the small island next to the boat opened. Chapter 54 If you want beer, pay for it. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After the door of the house on the small island was opened, an old man walked out. His hair was very special, the top of his head was bald, and the hair around him except for the front looked like a peacock spreading its tail. At this time, the old man was glaring at the straw hats with fierce eyes, and they were able to find the position of the chair without even looking at the road. When he sat on the chair, he remained silent and just stared at the straw hats. Everyone was frightened by the old man's aura and fell silent. Usopp couldn't stand it first and threatened. You, what are you doing looking at us like this? Do you want to fight? The old man replied in a low tone, I advise you not to do it, people will die. What Zoro couldn't bear the most was being provoked by others, so he immediately replied, oh. Who will die? The old man replied fiercely, it's me. Sanji's defense was almost broken, it turns out it's you. Ha ha ha. Luffy said with a smile, holding his stomach, you are so interesting. Zoro felt that he had been fooled and said unhappily, who are you? The old man replied, when you ask someone, shouldn't you introduce yourself first? Oh, I'm sorry, I. Just as Sauron was introducing himself, he was interrupted by the old man. The old man introduced himself, my name is Crocus. I am 71 years old and I am a doctor. Seeing that Sauron was about to run away, Lin Hai quickly pulled Sauron away and threw a bottle of beer at him. Crocus was previously the ship's doctor on the ship of Pirate King Gold Roger. His military power was not shown in the original work, but judging from Lin Hai's knowledge and domineering attitude at this time, this old man is very strong. The old man just stared at Luffy's hat for a while, and now he's staring at Lin Hai again. Lin Hai said speechlessly, what are you looking at? If you want to drink, buy some Baileys. A bottle costs 20 Baileys. Duong. Lin Hai was hit on the head by Nami. Nami took the beer in Lin Hai's hand and said with a smile, "He's joking, go on." Crocus said while drinking, "I didn't ask you for beer, you asked for it yourself." "Oh, this beer is so delicious, can I have another bottle?" Lin Hai said, "Another bottle? Do you think it's a lottery? Take by." Nami. "I don't care, this Bailey is directly on your head." Ha ha ha. Luffy couldn't help but said, "Uncle, you are so interesting. By the way, can you tell us how to get out of here?" Crocus pointed to a part of the door and said, "You can get out from there." At this time, the whale suddenly rolled. Crocus understood what had happened and immediately said angrily, "It must be the people from the Baroque working group who are trying to plot against Filibuster again. It's really unreasonable." Lin Hai pointed to the man and woman on his boat and asked, "Are you referring to them?" The man and woman who jumped on board the Melee were actually Mr. 9 and Mr. Wednesday. The English is so long and the typing is slow, so I directly replaced it with Chinese. Mr. Wednesday is the princess of the kingdom of Alabasta, Nefertali Weiwei. Seeing these two people who were very arrogant on the boat, they were beaten to the ground by Luffy. Afterwards, under the leadership of Crocus, everyone came out of the belly of the giant whale Rab. At the right time, Nami looked at her chaotic compass and couldn't help but ask, "Uncle, is my compass broken?" Crocus replied, "All common sense does not apply in this sea area. The compass is not broken." Nami understood immediately and asked tentatively, "Then, is it a magnetic field?" Looking at the straw hat on Luffy's head, Crocus once had a deep relationship with Roger, the owner of this straw hat. In addition, the straw hats and the others don't seem to be bad people, and he just drank from others' things, so Crocus didn't mind helping them and explained, "Yes, because the islands in the Grand Line contain a lot of magnetic minerals, the magnetic field along the entire line is very abnormal, and the sea currents and wind directions are changing. If you are a navigator, you should be able to understand the horror of this place." Nami, "That's true. If there is no way to point out the direction, it would be so desperate." Crocus smiled and said, "If you want to sail on the Grand Line, you must have a record pointer." Nami, "Record pointer? Something I've never heard of." Crocus explained, "That is a special compass that can record magnetism." After Nami asked about the situation, it was time to deal with the two people from Baroque Works. They wanted to go back to Whiskey Peak, and they didn't have a boat, so they had to take the Mary. Usopp asked them, "Who the hell are you guys?" Mr. 9, "Please send us to Whiskey Peak." Nami asked, "Where is that?" Mr. 9, "It's the town where we live." Nami, "Where is your own ship?" Weiwei, "It's broken." Nami, "You are too good at thinking about yourself, right? Mr. 9, "Were you thinking about killing the whale just now?" Usopp asked again, "Who are you?" Mr. 9, "I am the king." Lin Hai said with a smile, "Very good, then I will throw you into the sea." Weiwei quickly stopped, "I can't say." Mr. 9, "However, we want to go back to town, and we don't want to be so sneaky." Weiwei, "No matter what, the purpose of our company is mystery." Mr. 9, "So we can't say anything." Weiwei, "We came to ask for help because of your character." Mr. 9, "We will definitely repay this kindness." Wow! Lin Hai couldn't help but exclaimed, "These two guys' brains are so easy to use. Are they talking about crosstalk?" Crocus, "Leave them alone, no matter what they say, these two guys are not good people." After pondering for a while, Luffy said, "Okay, let's get on the boat. You said you were going to Whiskey Peak, right? Just go there." Usopp, "Is it true? Do you want to bring these two guys with unknown origins with you?" Luffy replied, "What does it matter? Don't worry about small things." Lin Hai said, "Since the captain has decided, let's go there." "But who is that mister? Do you have the record and pointers?" Mr. 9 carefully took out his record pointer and said, "You must keep it safe. This is the only one left. If it breaks." Nami directly grabbed the record pointer and said speechlessly, "It's really verbose." Oh! The giant whale Rabu screamed again, and everyone couldn't help but cover their ears. It seemed that the whale was very angry. This is the rhythm of hitting the mountain again. Chapter 55 Loneliness is not a kind of romance. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Seeing that Labu was going crazy again, Luffy couldn't help but ask, "Uncle, why did it hit the mountain with its head? Could it be that the food here is not to its liking?" That everyone's faces darkened, and Zoro couldn't help but said, "Do you think everyone is like you?" Lin Hai added, "Wrong, Luffy probably thought that animal was the same as Luffy." Usopp echoed, "Luffy's appetite seems to be better than that of that animal, right?" Seeing Luffy being criticized like this by his crew, Mr. Nine couldn't help but ask Mr. Wednesday, "Is he really the captain?" Mr. said in a daze on Wednesday, "It should, probably." Sanji smiled and said, "Luffy, you have to be more careful in the future. People say you don't look like a captain." "Ahahaha, you are all so interesting." Luffy said indifferently, "At the right time," Crocus explained, 50 years ago, a pirate group brought Labu here. Because Labu was too small, the pirate group could not take it to adventure and could only keep it here. Here, in the end, they made an agreement that after the pirate group circled the world, they would come back and take it away. It's a pity that that pirate group, 50 years have passed and they haven't come back yet, so Rab. Luffy asked doubtfully, "Didn't you tell it that the pirate group was destroyed?" Crocus replied, "I told you, but it's a pity that it didn't listen." Seeing that Labu was about to hit the mountain again, Luffy suddenly thought of a way. He actually broke off the locker pole on his ship and inserted it into Labu's head. Lin Hai on the side was very depressed. If it wanted to die, let it die. It actually broke the pole of the boat. Fortunately, he was still the captain and his brain was on his butt. Usopp said angrily, "Luffy, you bastard." Lin Hai said speechlessly, "What are you doing with that animal? I have wanted to kill it for a long time. By the way, how much can such a big whale be sold for?" That when Mr. Nine and Mr. heard what Lin Hai said on Wednesday, Mr. Nine was surprised and said, "Such a big whale can sell a lot of Baileys. I have channels, so." For a moment, Crocus, Luffy, and Nami all stared at Lin Hai and Mr. Nine, while Mr. Wednesday hid in a place in fear. Facing these people, Lin Hai didn't really take action, so he retorted, "Can't I just think about it? Is it a sin to think about it? A bunch of idiots. I'm stupid, don't do it." At this time, Luffy fought with the whale for 2 rounds. Luffy said, "Our duel this time is a draw. Now let's make a deal. After our ship sails around the world, how about we have a grand duel again? You. Although I couldn't understand what this giant whale said, everyone could understand and it agreed. However, Lin Hai, who had been beaten a few times by everyone, was very unhappy and said, "Hey, that stinky fish, don't look around. I'm talking about you, you bastard fish. Do you know that our boat was almost destroyed just because of you? There was a shipwreck. Remember, the world does not revolve around you, and life does not revolve around an agreement. You can just dive to the bottom of the sea and find a female whale to play with, you idiot. If you don't have that interest, then be willing to be lonely, because loneliness, isn't it a kind of romance?" Ding, congratulations to the host for completing a coquettish operation, and the host will be rewarded with a 1-level increase in Overlord color and domineering. The surprise came so quickly like a tornado. Ha! Lin Hai, who was overjoyed, suddenly did dozens of backflips. Because he was so excited, he found a fish tank next to him, so Lin Hai grabbed the beautiful fish in the fish tank and he kissed her hard and then threw her into the sea. Everyone present was confused by Lin Hai's operation. After reacting, Sanji asked weakly, "Usopp, it seems you managed to catch that fish, right?" Usopp had a soft spot for that fish, but he didn't expect that not only would he be kissed by Lin Hai, but he would also be thrown into the sea after being kissed. Usopp was very unhappy and said, "Lin Hai, you guy." With that said, Usopp also ran over and threw all the fish caught by Lin Hai into the sea. "Everyone, that's food, ouch." The Golden Mary finally left Twin Capes and prepared to sail to Whiskey Peak. However, this ship had just sailed not long ago, it was summer just now, and now it has started to snow. The weather in the pirate world is truly unpredictable and unpredictable, worthy of the Grand Line, Lin Hai said in surprise. Huh? This is the first snow in 1520. It's more sudden than before. You are like a butterfly flying around, bah. Hey, Luffy, Wu Thorpe, let's build a snowman. Luffy nodded and said, let's see who can build the best snowman. TSK, TSK, TSK. Usopp smiled and said, when it comes to building snowmen, none of you can compare to me. When I was in my hometown, I had been building snowmen for 50 years, and my attainments had reached the master level. Luffy's eyes lit up and he said, Sakuchi, is it true? Usopp. Usopp nodded, of course. I really don't know whether Luffy is really stupid or pretending to be stupid, and he actually believed Usopp's lies. Lin Hai quickly ran into the kitchen and asked for some sucrose from Sanji. Luffy and Usopp had already started building a snowman. Seeing Lin Hai still there and not moving, Luffy asked doubtfully, Lin Hai, why don't you start building a snowman? So, you gave up the game? Lin Hai shook his head and said, you guys build it for a while, I am thinking about building a snowman that will shock the world and weep ghosts and gods. Not long after, Luffy finished building it, and when Usopp was going to observe the snowman that Luffy had built, Lin Hai quickly sprinkled the sucrose on the snowman that Usopp had built, and then ate it leisurely. Well, the ice cream isn't that delicious, right? Let him, Lin Hai, build a snowman. Are you kidding me? Cane sugar and kneaded snow, that's the pursuit. Usopp reacted and said angrily, Lin Hai, what have you done to my snowman? Lin Hai directly picked up a bunch and threw it to Usopp, try it. Usopp listened to Lin Hai's words by mistake, and after taking a bite, he exclaimed, it's delicious. When he heard it was delicious, Luffy couldn't help it and swallowed it in one bite. At the same time, Mr. Nine and Mr. Sunday in the room were sitting at the table shivering. Mr. asked on Wednesday, don't you have heating here? Mr. Nine echoed, what kind of ship is this? It's freezing us to death. Nami was drawing a map in the room. Unexpectedly, the two people kept chatting and kicked them out of the room in anger. Then Nami and the others saw a scene on the deck. Usopp and Luffy were making snowmen, while Lin Hai was spreading ingredients there. Then they piled and ate at the same time. It was like making a barbecue. Nami and the other three were directly confused by Lin Hai and the others' operations. Chapter 56 Hunter. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Mr. 9, are they eating? Mr. Wednesday, no, they should be eating ice cream, right? Mr. 9, wow, they are really geniuses. It's so noisy. Nami said, I told you to just wear short sleeves. Aren't you cold? Short sleeves. Cold. Only then did Lin Hai and others react. Luffy shivered, it's so cold. Lin Hai asked doubtfully, don't you want to eat? Usopp replied, eat, why not eat? But first go back and get some clothes to wear. What about Zoro? Lin Hai pointed to a place and said, he is dreaming. Mr. 9 saw that Zoro was almost buried in the snow, but he was still sleeping so soundly. He couldn't help but muttered, why do I feel that all the people on this ship are abnormal? You are right, Mr. Wednesday. Lin Hai said, you guy, when you arrive at your destination, pay me the fare. As for Mr. Wednesday on the side, Lin Hai knew that she was the princess of the kingdom of Alabasta. However, seeing how she seemed to have a purpose no matter what she did, Lin Hai felt unhappy with her. At this time, a flash of lightning suddenly flashed in the sky, and everyone was confused. Isn't it snowing? What the hell is thunder? God, what kind of trouble is this going on? I saw dark clouds not far away and a small tornado. Wipe. Lin Hai was very unhappy. Just when he was about to test whether his knife could split the clouds, he was directly beaten by Nami and became furious. Nami explained, if you chop again, our boat will capsize. Everyone, it's time to work. Forget it, Lin Hai said he would bear it, and if he didn't listen to the navigator at sea, he would be a fool. At the right time, Nami put her hands on her hips and said confidently, everyone, in this sea, even my most trusted navigation skills are no longer effective, so you should all be serious, Usopp said speechlessly. It doesn't work, but you still sound so confident. Luffy's eyes lit up and he said, Silk Cake 1. Lin Hai clapped his hands and said, you should show this kind of momentum. Sanji came out of the kitchen with peach blossom eyes and said, as expected of Miss Nami, if you need anything, please feel free to ask me. Heavy rain and wind and snow, commonly known as blizzards, are really exciting in this unusual climate that we have never seen before. The Golden Merly is just drifting with the current on the rough sea. Fortunately, Nami has superb navigation skills, otherwise most of the people on the boat would have to go to the sea to feed the fish. It rained again and the sky cleared again. Zoro finally woke up. Zoro stretched out contentedly and looked at the blue sky filled with wind. A few snow-white clouds occasionally drifted across the sky. It was another beautiful day. When he saw Lin Hai and others lying listlessly on the deck, Zoro couldn't help but said, I'm telling you, even if the weather is nice, you don't have to be so lazy, right? If you want to sleep, go back to the room, otherwise you will catch a cold. Nami couldn't bear it anymore and said in a gloomy tone, Zoro. Zoro turned around and asked in confusion, what's wrong, Nami? Duong. Zoro held his head and rubbed it, then turned around angrily and said, what are you doing? Duong. Zoro was greeted by another violent shock. Nami said angrily, you bastard, do you know what happened on the ship just now? No matter how I call you, you can't bear to wake up. Sauron now understands the truth. The woman on the boat is a tiger. If you encounter one, you must avoid it. The Golden Mary finally sailed into Whiskey Peak. On the way, Mr. Nine and Mr. jumped directly into the sea and went home on Wednesday. After the melee entered the harbor, people on both sides actually began to warmly welcome the pirates. Because pirates are the source of wealth for these people, they are all employees of Baroque Company, and they are also called __ bounty hunters. Specifically targeting pirates. When Usopp saw people on both sides greeting him, he immediately waved and smiled, hello, my name is Usopp, a brave sea warrior. Sanji only had eyes for beauties. Seeing the warm welcome from those women, Sanji's eyes suddenly turned red and he said, there are so many beautiful ladies. Is this a paradise on earth? I love you. Only Nami and Zoro were on alert on the melee, and Lin Hai knew who these people were because he had watched One Piece, but he didn't care. As soon as the ship docked, Luffy and the others were welcomed in by the bounty hunter led by Ikaram, also known as MR8, to attend the pirates' banquet. As soon as Luffy heard about the party, he immediately ran away with them. As soon as Zoro heard about drinking, he ran away with them. When Nami heard that there was a reward of 100,000 belly for drinking, she also ran away. As for Sanji, when he sees a woman, he runs away without anyone else guiding him. As for Usopp, this vain guy loves to join in the fun. Lin Hai was left alone here. One of them saw that Lin Hai did not attend the banquet and did not love Bailey, so he tentatively asked, I wonder what this distinguished guest likes. Lin Hai replied, I prefer to go to a quiet place and have a good sleep. I'm sorry to bother you. The leader reacted, and the others immediately understood. Among them, two young and beautiful girls stepped forward and said, Dear guests, please come with us. Lin Hai followed these bounty hunters casually. As for worrying that something might happen to Luffy and the others, he thinks too much. He, Lin Hai, is not a nanny. If he had to worry so much along the way, there would be no need to go to sea in the first place. Moreover, he, Lin Hai, doesn't have the heart to worry about this or that. At this time, a woman asked, Guest, our wine here is very famous in the East China Sea. You should drink more. Lin Hai smiled and said, You are very noisy. After saying that, Lin Hai directly released the Overlord's lustful domineering energy. In an instant, everyone in the room except Lin Hai was stunned, and Lin Hai began to eat and drink by himself. After all, how can you drink with a group of people who you know have bad intentions? Looking at their expressions, do you really think you are convinced? Lin Hai was speechless for a while. Let's find out first who is the hunter or the prey. But tonight will definitely be a very interesting night. because tonight is the Battle of Sauron's Rise, Sauron versus more than 100 bounty hunters. Chapter 57 You damn poor guy. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Looking at the fainted people around him, Lin Hai himself was really not a murderous person. Although they had evil intentions before, Lin Hai really couldn't do it, so Lin Hai started eating and drinking there by himself. After he was full, he took a nap and had a cigarette after the meal, which was better than a living god. When I walked out of the room, it was already dead of night. I really didn't expect time to pass so quickly. Lin Hai quickly released his knowledge and dominance to find out what was going on. Oh, Sauron is already fighting those bounty hunters. Ahem, the battle is not over yet, but the scene on the roof is really interesting. Lin Hai hurried over to take a look. At this time, Sauron was fighting that Mr. on the roof. Mr.'s attack method was to coordinate with his somersaults. Ha ha ha. Mr. 9 was doing somersaults and fighting Zorro with the baseball in his hand. Are you scared? Can't you hold on under such a fierce attack from me? The two fought for a while. Sauron looked at Mr. 9 curiously with a knife on the side, and said speechlessly, Are you serious? At this time, Mr. 9 had separated from Sauron. Unexpectedly, all his attacks were neutralized. However, losing does not lose. Mr. 9 pointed at Zorro with a baseball and said, Roranoa Zorro, do you think I can only do so many flips? I can do more. Watch. After saying that, Mr. 9 continued his somersaults. What he didn't expect was that this was the rooftop, and what was behind Mr. 9 was not land, but the air. Then Zorro looked at Mr. 9 and overturned. Facing such an opponent, Sauron said speechlessly, Isn't there a decent opponent? As soon as he finished speaking, he saw that Miss Wednesday had already stood up, and then pointed at Zorro and said, A decent opponent? Roranoa Zorro, if you meet me, you will stop here. Zorro was playful, really. There is a big duck next to Mr. Wednesday. It screams run fast and is Miss Wednesday's mount. At the right time, Miss Wednesday sat on the back of the fast runner and said, Run fast, let's go. Ah. He quickly received the order and immediately rushed forward with Mr. Wednesday. Then, Zorro watched them rush over. Sauron said speechlessly, Are you still going to fight or not? Miss Wednesday is really speechless. What is going on with running so fast? Lin Hai, who was watching on the side, couldn't hold it in any longer. Ha ha ha, I'm really laughing to death. Did this duck drink fake milk powder? Zorro saw Lin Hai coming and couldn't help asking, Where are Luffy and the others? Still sleeping. Lin Hai walked towards Mr. Wednesday, pointed at the duck and joked, Mr. Wednesday, your mount is really useless, why don't we roast it? Miss objected on Wednesday, are you kidding? Running fast is my partner. Ah. After hearing Lin Hai's words, Run Kwai screamed. Miss Wednesday quickly comforted, Don't worry, I won't let him roast you. Lin Hai poked the head of the fast runner and asked Miss Wednesday, Your mount is so strange. Isn't a duck supposed to quack? What's going on? Miss said angrily on Wednesday, Don't treat me like friends, we are now in a hostile relationship. Lin Hai interrupted, You are no match for us. Run away now. Your mission has been considered a failure. I heard that your mission failed. Wait a moment, but a killer will come and kill the person who failed the mission. After Miss heard Lin Hai's words on Wednesday, she immediately realized that she could not die here. She wanted to return to the kingdom of Alabasta and expose Crocodile's conspiracy. Thank you for the reminder. After saying that, Miss Wednesday left here with a running speed. At the right time, Lin Hai threw a bottle of beer to Sauron, and the two of them sat on the rooftop and drank beer leisurely. Lin Hai was indeed right. Miss had just walked down the street on Wednesday and was directly chased by Mr. 5 and his partner Miss Valentine. Midway, the identities of Miss Wednesday and Ikaram, the manager of Whiskey Mountain, were revealed. Miss Wednesday was actually Princess Vivi of the Kingdom of Alabasta, and Ikaram was the captain of the guard of the Kingdom of Alabasta. Everyone who helped Princess Weiwei cover her escape was interrupted by Mr. 5 and Miss Valentine's Day, leaving only those who could run as fast as possible and take Weiwei away. Miss Valentine's Day, "Ahaha, Mr. Five, if you don't chase her, you will run away." Mr. Five, she can't run away. After saying that, Mr. Five started to pick his nose, and then pointed the object dug out of the nostril at Wei Wei and ejected it. Booger bomb. Rumble. At this time, Mr. Five was full of doubts. Didn't he eject towards Wei Wei? How did you blow up Mrs. Valentine's Day? For a moment, Mr. Five was furious and said, "Who is it? Come out quickly." Not far away, I saw Lin Hai and Sauron fighting. "Lin Hai, you bastard, why do you still owe Nami 200,000 belly? It's only 20 berry and you don't have it yet. You're so good looking, you damn poor guy." Zoro replied, "Nami, that stinky woman, I borrowed 100,000 belly from her, and I paid it back to her on the same day. Who knew she wanted me to pay her back an additional 200,000 belly?" Lin Hai said contemptuously, "Do you have the idea of going to a bar? Borrow 100,000 baileys and pay back 300,000. Ah. Zoro replied, "Someone still owes Nami 1 million baileys. Are you so shameless that you have the nerve to accuse me?" That's right, just now, Ikaram asked Nami to ask Nami's friends to rescue the princess of the kingdom of Alabasta, and promised rich rewards. So, Nami agreed. Nami ordered Lin Hai and Sauron to rescue Princess Wei Wei on the grounds that her money was her money and the agreement she signed was everyone's agreement. Of course Lin Hai and Zoro disagreed, but Nami used the excuse that they owed her money, so the current scene appeared. At this moment, Miss Valentine's Day recovered. The sudden explosion made her furious. She immediately flew into the air and gave Lin Hai and Sauron a heavy blow. Miss Valentine in mid-air said with a gloomy face, "Faced with opponents like us, you still don't take us seriously. Don't regret it after you die, ha ha ha." At this time, Miss Valentine's Day has already begun to use his tricks. 1 kilogram, 100 kilograms, 1,000 kilograms, 10,000 kilograms, crushed by gravity, go to hell, you bastards. As he said that, Miss Valentine's Day was already descending very quickly, and was about to hit Lin Hai and Sauron. Nami on the side said angrily, "I told you, please be serious." Chapter 58 You are Feng'er, I am Shah. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Mr. Valentine's Day has come, but the effect is just a surprise, and everyone is confused at this time. I saw Mr. Valentine lying in Lin Hai's arms. Lin Hai looked at Mr. Valentine in his arms and said, "Beautiful lady, you are a little heavy, but it doesn't matter. You have a really good figure." Mr. Valentine's Day saw this situation for the first time. What happened just now? Could it be that his ability failed? "Thank you." Mr. Valentine replied in confusion, What do you want to do?" Lin Hai said affectionately, "You are Feng'er and I am Shah, what do you think?" Mr. Valentine looked at the handsome man in front of him. Why did he suddenly say this to himself? However, Mr. Valentine has not watched China's Qiangyao drama, and does not understand what the words represent, so, Mr. Valentine replied, "I'm not Feng'er, and I hate sand." "Where do you touch your hands, you bastard? If I remember correctly, we are still enemies, right? Let me go." Lin Hai's face darkened. Shouldn't the woman in his arms reply that she would be lingering until the end of the world? What a sight! Lin Hai said angrily, "I hate illiteracy, go ahead Pikachu." After saying that, Lin Hai directly threw Mr. Valentine's Day out of his arms. Everyone looked at Lin Hai in confusion. Isn't this change too big? At this time, Lin Hai pointed at Mr. Five and said, "I said nose-picking men, don't look around. I'm talking about you ugly thing. Your hairstyle is really bad. Is it you who did that afro hairstyle? If you have no taste, don't style your hair randomly. If you are ugly, you have to admit it. Don't make a mess. If you scare the children, can you bear this responsibility? So, now, immediately, take that overweight illiterate woman next to you and disappear from my sight. I don't want to see you again." The corners of Zoro and Nami's eyes twitched, and Princess Vivi on the side felt that her head was a little down. What was going on? At this time, Nami reacted and couldn't help but cover her mouth and chuckle, but in the end she couldn't hold it in anymore. Ah ha ha ha, Lin Hai, you guy, ha ha ha. Nami covered her stomach and laughed. After being silent for a while, Mr. on the side said angrily, "Who are you? Don't get in the way, extra large bomb." After saying that, Mr. 5 has already started to attack. Room, space barrier. Lin Hai used a trick he had recently come up with to seal the bombs launched by the opponent in the space field. For a moment, the bomb launched by Mr. 5 was thrown up and down by Lin Hai like a yo-yo. Zoro on the other side was discerning and couldn't help but sigh. "You can do this kind of thing." Mr. 5 looked at the bomb he fired in Lin Hai's hand, and it was actually treated as a toy by him. Mr. 5 looked solemn and said, "Who are you? Why do you want to stop us?" Cough cough. Lin Hai once again looked up at the stars at a 5-degree angle, and said slowly, "Me. I have long forgotten who I am, Mr. Mar. I have wandered around the world all my life, and the slippers on my feet will only kick up the yellow sand on the ground, and then dissipate in the rivers and lakes behind me, so, don't ask me who I am someone you can't afford to offend." Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing a special reward, becoming a swordsman, and understanding the essence of Dugun 9 swords. Wow, this is not a loss. Zoro on the side secretly spat, pretending to be comparing goods. But Lin Hai's operation is quite cool, I will learn from it in the future. It's over, Zoro's character has collapsed. Mr. 5, with a gloomy face, asked again, "Why on earth are you trying to stop us from carrying out our mission?" Mr. 5 can't back down. Baroque's rule is that those who fail the mission will be hunted down by people more powerful than themselves. At this time, Mr. Valentine took out Lin Hai's reward order and walked up to Mr. 5. After Mr. 5 saw the amount of the reward order, he was absent-minded for a long time. How could such a big shot appear here? Soon, Mr. 5 said quickly, "Mr. Lin Hai, we give up this mission and won't disturb you anymore." What can he do with Mr. 5? Let him deal with the monster with a bounty of 300 million belly on his head, unless he has lost his mind. Wait a minute. Lin Hai threw the bomb in his hand back to Mr. 5, "I'll give you back your own stuff, but be careful, it may explode." Mr. 5 is secretly amused. He himself is an explosive fruit user, so he is worried about explosion. Mr. 5 after Lin Hai threw something to him, as soon as he walked out of Lin Hai's space field, it suddenly exploded. When the smoke cleared, Mr. 5 had left with Mr. Valentine's Day. Sure enough, they had a plan. At this time, Weiwei stepped forward and said, "Thank you for saving me this time." Nami smiled and said, "You're welcome, we have conditions to save you this time." Ikarim on the side came over and said to Weiwei, "Your Highness, the situation was urgent at that time. I promised to pay them privately. Please forgive me for overstepping my authority." Weiwei shook her head and said, "Don't worry." Nami's eyes lit up and she said, "Since you are a princess, you must be very rich, right? We send you safely to Alabasta, and how about you get 1 billion belly as reward?" Weiwei replied, "I can't afford that many baileys." Nami didn't believe it. "How is this possible?" Ikarim explained, "Because Alabasta is currently in riots." Weiwei echoed, "This is the purpose of our sneaking into Baroque works this time." Unexpectedly, the riots in Alabasta were instigated by Baroque works behind the scenes, but after you send me to the kingdom of Alabasta, I will ask my father to give you the reward we can afford. What do you think? Lin Hai stepped forward and asked, "The mastermind behind Baroque works is Crocodile, one of the Shichibukai, right?" Shichibukai. Nami and Zoro suddenly exclaimed. Boom! Suddenly a fist hit from not far away. It turned out to be Luffy. And his fist was blocked by Lin Hai. Luffy said angrily, "Lin Hai, get out of my way, I'm going to beat Zoro up." Nami asked confused, "Why?" Luffy explained, "Why? Zoro is so ungrateful that he actually chopped down all the people who invited us to dinner." Zoro was about to step forward to explain, but Lin Hai punched Luffy directly. Lin Hai said angrily, "You bastard, you are the captain, but you ended up sleeping like a pig and you don't know anything. You still have the right to be angry with Sauron." Luffy said angrily, what are you talking about? You don't know, those are civilians, and they were chopped down by Zoro. Lin Hai didn't bother to explain, then what do you want? If you are unhappy, let's compare, Luffy replied, come on, who is afraid of whom? Duong. X2. Lin Hai and Luffy both KO. Chapter 59. Learn from Lin Hai. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ah ha ha ha. After some explanations from Nami and Vivi, Luffy finally understood that those people chopped down by Zoro were all bounty hunters, and Luffy laughed awkwardly. He patted Lin Hai on the shoulder and said, you told me earlier, it turns out they are all bounty hunters. I wrongly blamed Sauron. Lin Hai slapped Luffy's hand away, grabbed his head and pointed to a cemetery on Whiskey Peak and said, did you see it? Without Zoro, that's where you would sleep. Luffy nodded and said, I'm sorry, I misunderstood you, but the banquet just now was really fun. You know Lin Hai, the food is so delicious, especially the squid, the delicious barbecue, and the have. Nami on the side was negotiating with Vivi about the remuneration issue, but Luffy was yelling at her, so she said impatiently, it's so noisy, please be quiet. Luffy shut up now. At this time, Zoro asked, Nami, I heard that this incident involves the Shichibukai. Are you sure you want to participate? Nami then remembered, Shichibukai. Nami immediately exclaimed, I don't want the reward anymore, goodbye. Oh, no goodbye. Isn't the contrast between before and after too great? Wei Wei said weakly, Nami, it's too late for you to regret, because you have already been painted by those two birds. Nami exclaimed, I don't want it. Why are we being chased by the Shichibukai as soon as we arrive at the Grand Line? Seeing that Nami was so scared, Lin Hai couldn't help but ridiculed, you brought it upon yourself. When Zoro and I were drinking there and having a good time, I don't know who was so greedy for money that he insisted on us helping. Duong. Nami said angrily, I regret it so much that you are still making sarcastic remarks. Lin Hai stood up and hugged Nami's waist and smiled, what are you afraid of? How about we escape back to Cocoa West Village to give birth to a monkey? Nami said angrily, let me go, who wants to have a monkey with you? Ha ha. Luffy said with a smile, what are you afraid of? Isn't it just a Shichibukai? Since he has been targeted, let's go see him. Nami retorted, what do you know? Do you know what level of pirates the Shichibukai are? Hawkeye, the world's #1 swordsman at the time, was one of the Shichibukai. For people like this, we are their opponents. Wei Wei nodded and said, there are 7 such characters in total. With their crushing strength, the world government acquiesces to their privileges and the right to plunder other pirates. Luffy exclaimed, oh, are there so many such powerful characters? Zoro said with great interest, Shichibukai, it's interesting. Nami said speechlessly, do you know the seriousness of the matter? Lin Hai said with a smile, that crocodile, one of the Shichibukai, seems to be very rich. I didn't expect that just now he actually sent his men to take our heads to the navy to collect the bounty. This is really unreasonable. If this is the case, we will ask Crocodile for compensation. What do you think? Nanny. Everyone shouted. Nami said in horror, you want to ask Crocodile for compensation? You don't want your life. Lin Hai ignored Nami's words and continued, when we are pirates, the first thing is to increase our bounty, and the second thing is to do whatever we want. It's freedom. Now that people are coming to our door, there is no reason for us to swallow our anger. As a free pirate, shouldn't we beat up anyone who is unhappy? Luffy smiled and said, that's a good idea, let's do it. Zoro tightened his grip on the sword in agreement, but Nami couldn't accept it and said, that's the Shichibukai. I really don't know what you think. Lin Hai tempted, I heard that Crocodile is very rich, are you sure you don't want it? Seeing that the captain agreed, Nami had no choice but to comply, plus the temptation of Crocodile being rich. Nami suddenly became energetic and quickly turned to Wei Wei to confirm, is Crocodile really rich? Wei Wei nodded and said, he is indeed very rich. He has blocked venues in many places in the kingdom of Alabasta. Nami immediately replied, Okay, then it's decided, let's set off for the kingdom of Alabasta. At this time, Zoro said, where are Sanji and Usopp? Luffy realized then that they were still sleeping, so, Luffy said, I'll call them over, and then leave for Alabasta. This time, the Golden Mary set sail in a hurry. As soon as Sanji and Usopp woke up, they heard that they were going to demand compensation from Crocodile of the Shichibukai. Their jaws almost dropped. Aha, it's such a rush. Who is speaking? Everyone turned to look at the railing of the room on the second floor of the ship, and saw a woman with a hot figure and a hat. In the design of the melee, the second floor only occupies a part of the ship's area. Luffy asked in confusion, who are you? Why are you on our ship? Wei Wei on the side explained, she is the vice president of Baroque Works, Nicole Robin. Upon hearing Wei Wei's introduction, everyone couldn't help but be on guard. Luffy made a gesture of fighting and said, are you here to avenge them? Nico Robin didn't answer, but used his flower fruit to take Luffy's straw hat and put it on his head. Lin Hai looked at all this and felt bored. So he lay down on his own and fell asleep, because it was almost dawn and he, Lin Hai, hadn't slept yet. Who makes those beauties so pitiful? If they are hungry, can Lin Hai not give them anything to eat? They are lonely, can you not comfort them? At this time, after the Straw Hats got to know Nico Robin, Robin explained that he was not here to seek revenge or perform a mission, he was just curious. Finally, Robin threw a permanent pointer to Nami and explained that according to this permanent pointer, you can go directly to Alabasta. But Luffy was so stubborn that he destroyed the permanent pointer, thinking that he, the captain, should decide the ship's sailing route. Afterwards, Robin took off on her tortoise, and the Golden Melee set sail. Nami on the side found Lin Hai asleep on the deck. Nami couldn't help but turned around and asked, is Lin Hai so tired? Zoro said, it seems like he hasn't slept all this time, right? Nami put her hands on her hips and began to teach Luffy and the others, I said you guys are too unwary, right? As soon as we docked, except Zoro and Lin Hai, all of you were like this. You must be consistent with Lin Hai and Zoro on this point. Study, are you clear? Got it. X3. Nami said with great satisfaction, Zoran, there's nothing to do now. Do you want to go and sleep for a while? Zoro shook his head and said, no, I've slept enough during the day. I don't know what Lin Hai would think in his sleep if he heard that Nami regarded him as a role model. Chapter 60 Who Did It? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Today's sailing was very smooth and there was no bad weather. At this time, the sky was already bright, and Nami and Wei Wei were chatting at the railing on the second floor of the ship. Wei Wei pointed to the place where Lin Hai slept not far away and asked, what are they doing? Nami shook her head and said, who knows, as long as they don't mess around, we won't pay attention to them. Wei Wei asked with concern, that Lin Hai is sleeping there, should we give him a sheet? Nami said speechlessly, ignore him, that guy is as strong as a monster. By the way, how about we go to the room to see my new clothes? Although it was a question, Nami had already pulled Vivi into the room. On the deck, after Usopp and the others finished doing their own thing, they tried their best to suppress their laughter, and then started fishing. I don't know how long it took, but Lin Hai finally woke up. Ah, another day when I woke up to my handsomeness. As soon as he finished muttering, Lin Hai noticed something was wrong. This feeling is indescribable. Oh, it turns out that the guys sitting on the side fishing were too quiet. It was a bit abnormal to be quiet. Lin Hai didn't intend to pay attention to them. When he was going to the kitchen to find something to eat, he saw Zoro coming out of the training room. When Sauron saw Lin Hai, he couldn't hold back any longer. Pfft. Ha ha ha. Lin Hai wondered, what's so funny? Just when Zoro was about to say something, Sanji quickly came over and covered Zoro's mouth and said, it's nothing, you're awake. You must be hungry, right? Everything is put in the kitchen. It's really baffling. As he said this, Lin Hai entered the kitchen, but Lin Hai could hear faint laughter outside the boat. Something was really wrong. So, Lin Hai came out of the kitchen and said, what is so funny? No, it's nothing. We were just telling a joke. Yes, the joke Usopp told just now was so funny. Looking at the strange expressions of these people, Lin Hai was really speechless. Could it be that they were so handsome by him? Let's ask Nami and the others. When Nami and Weiwei saw Lin Hai's appearance, they burst into laughter. Ha ha ha, Lin Hai, what are you doing? Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha, I can't stand it anymore. Lin Hai was confused and quickly took the mirror in Nami's room to take a look. Ahem, what's going on with these 6 beards? Which bastard painted Lin Hai as a tabby cat? Wow, it's really lifelike, more real than real. Great painting skills. Damn it. Suddenly, Lin Hai's furious voice sounded on board the melee. Who did this? After a while, on the deck, Lin Hai said, tell me, who painted it? Not us. Everyone said at the same time. Lin Hai shook his head and said, Luffy, you must have done it, especially that beard, it is clearly your handiwork. Luffy said anxiously, nonsense, I only painted the corners of my eyes. Luffy reacted and quickly covered his mouth. Lin Hai turned to look at Sanji and asked, it was your idea, right? Sanji pretended to be stupid and said, what's your idea? Lin Hai shook his head and said, I originally had several photos of beauties here that I wanted to show you, but it seems you don't need them anymore. Sanji quickly pointed at Usopp and said, most of Usopp's ideas were drawn by him. Usopp said in horror, you guys. Suddenly, Lin Hai shouted, Zoran, bring my 40-meter-long sword. As soon as he heard Lin Hai's words, Luffy's eyes lit up and he said, a 40-meter-long sword? Silk cake, Zoro, show it to me quickly. Usopp exclaimed, you idiot, Lin Hai is using the knife to deal with us. Luffy was shocked, Nani. No, Usopp's eyes twitched, and he was really speechless to Luffy. Sauron on the side was confused, a 40-meter sword? If so, how come he didn't know about it? Lin Hai said angrily, it's the kitchen knife next to you. When Luffy saw the kitchen knife, he immediately said with disdain, what, I thought there was really a 40-meter-long sword. Usopp said feebly, Luffy, can you stop being so expressive? Of course, Lin Hai was just threatening them, how could he really take action? After some quarrel, Lin Hai finally remembered the reward he had received at Whiskey Mountain, the essence of Dugu 9 swords. Dugu 9 swords emphasizes skill and counterthinking. This is a direction of swordsmanship, but it is not Lin Hai's swordsmanship, because in this world, if you don't have enough strength, no matter how you use your skill, you will either be chopped away or your sword will be cut off. And the real technique is to return to the most basic movements. Of course, this most basic movement is completely different from beginners. This requires observing a large number of moves, that is, gaining rich experience in actual combat and constantly practicing to form a memory of body instincts, etc., in order to achieve simplicity. At present, this is the way of swordsmanship that Lin Hai understands. Although it cannot reach the level of Dao Jijian, it is more than enough to defeat Sauron. Ever since, Lin Hai began to practice chopping movements on the deck, repeating it again and again. Only then did Lin Hai realize that there would always be some deviation between the direction of chopping and the expected direction. This was a matter of proficiency. Zoro, who had been watching for a long time, couldn't help but stepped forward and asked, are you practicing your sword? Lin Hai nodded and said, yes. Zoro asked curiously, can such a simple chopping improve my swordsmanship? Lin Hai said with a smile, everyone has a different understanding of swordsmanship. Think about that day when you fought against Hawkeye. No matter how gorgeous your moves were, Hawkeye could defeat you by simply drawing his sword. Why is that? Zoro asked curiously, why? Lin Hai replied, strength, speed, eyesight, proficiency, etc., etc., you can slowly understand it by yourself, but I still suggest you learn how to chop iron first. Zoro nodded thoughtfully and returned to his training room. Why does Lin Hai practice swordsmanship? Because the space fruit is very compatible with swordsmanship. Moreover, Lin Hai's high wind is so cool. The space fruit is different from the surgery fruit. Although they both establish a space field, the physical strength used by the surgery fruit is definitely more than that of the space fruit. Furthermore, the development directions of the two fruits are different. The space fruit focuses on unpredictable attacks and avoidance, while the surgical fruit focuses on medical skills. The two cannot be synonymous. Some readers reported that the space fruit is a subordinate fruit of the surgical fruit. Here, the author explains that this is not the case. Thinking of this, Lin Hai opened the system panel. Coquettish system, host, Lin Hai, physique, level 7, top level 10, seeing and hearing domineering, level 2. Armed color domineering, level 2. Overlord color domineering, level 3, with the ability to freely control the target of shock. The shock effect is enhanced, depending on the host's courage. Weapon, Gao Feng, indestructible. The normal form is comparable to the supreme sharp knife. Depending on the host's ability, the summoning form is comparable to an artifact. It is extremely lethal and can easily damage the environment. The host should use it with caution. Skill 1.1. Establish a space field. Space exchange, space barrier. 2. 1 knife flow. 3. Space / high-level use of space fruit, depending on physical strength. Skill 2, Dugu 9 swords, reference, system store, open, coquettish coin, 2150. At the third level of domineering color, is this a quantitative change of domineering power? If I advance to another level, can I become entangled with the domineering energy? If the overlord color domineering energy is wrapped around the sword, wouldn't it be Roger's move, God's avoidance? Lin Hai secretly laughed. Divine avoidance should require extremely high swordsmanship. Being able to be entangled with a domineering aura may not necessarily mean that divine avoidance is too simple. It's better to practice the basics first. Lin Hai should be considered a great swordsman now,